Let's make a clay cupcake. Take your wet paper towel off and then divide your clay into 3 even pieces. Check them for size. You may need to move some clay around and then roll them into balls to get them into 3 even pieces. That's about good. Set one of those pieces back inside your plastic bag and to the side. That way it doesn't dry out. We're going to make 2 pinch pots. So you'll take one of your balls, roll it into a smooth ball, twist your thumb inside, and then start pinching around the walls. Check it for size. Should be about the thickness of your pinky. This will be pretty small. You don't want your pot to be super big. When it gets the size that you want, take your finger, dip it in water, and smooth out any cracks or edges around the outside. And you can use a tool if you need to smooth any cracks out. Okay, set that one to the side. Use your other ball of clay to do the same thing. Roll it into a ball, place your thumb in, but don't go all the way through, and pinch around the outside, looking for any places that might be really, really thick, and pressing them out thin. Check it to see if it's the thickness of your pinky, and that they're about the same. Smooth out any edges. And again, use the tool on the inside if you need it. Now let's work on the bottom part of our cupcake. So if you look at mine, I need the top and bottom to both be flat. So to get the top flat, flip it upside down and tap it on the table so it gets it nice and flat on one side. And let's flatten out the bottom side. So flip it this way, tap it again on the bottom to get a flat bottom. That way it can sit flat on the table. Let's do the texture around the outside. I'm using a popsicle stick and just making texture lines so it looks like the wrapping paper on a cupcake. All the way around, making those texture lines. Pretty good. You may need to tap it on the table again to get it back into the right shape. Set that aside and let's work on the top piece. Okay? If you want to, you can leave yours like a muffin and add things like berries or chocolate chips, but I'm going to show you how to do the frosting or whipped cream. So take out your extra clay that you had set aside earlier, and we're going to roll these into coils. But set a little piece aside if you want to use it for things like cherry or a sprinkle. Squeeze your remaining clay out, and then we're going to roll it on the table. I like to roll it on the table because my mess mat moves around too much if I do it on the mess mat. You want your coil to be about the thickness of either a pencil or your pinky. The snake coil is going to get fairly long. If it gets too long for you to work with, you may need to break it in half and just work with a little part of it for right now. Looks pretty good. Now remember when I talked about slipping and scoring, you need to grab your toothbrush and slip and score all over the top of your other pinch pot. Make sure you can see all of those scratch lines and it has water. You'll also do the same thing to the top of that coil that you just made. And then you'll attach the 2 scored pieces together, wrapping it around from the bottom and working your way to the top, pressing it in. I didn't have quite enough, so I'm going to grab my extra clay and make another coil to try and finish up the gap. When it looks pretty good, again, I'm going to slip and score the top of the coil and attach it to my pinch pot. I'm almost there, but it's okay because I'm going to use the rest of my clay to make a cherry and fill in the rest. Roll it into a ball. Now I also need to slip and score that piece rather than just pressing it on. And then, if I want to, I can pinch the top into a stem for the cherry. Now that looks pretty good. Smooth out any edges that you may need. Check it for size. Now what if you don't want it to look like this? You may want it to look like there's a different type of frosting or sprinkles on the top of your cupcake. If that happens, hopefully you have some extra clay and you can roll it into a really, really skinny coil and pinch it apart, slip and score it on so it looks like sprinkles. So you'll see I'm rolling out a really, really skinny coil. But maybe I don't want this cherry. Maybe I want it to look like I have a different kind of frosting. So I'm going to roll it into a ball and flatten it out. And then attach it by slipping and scoring.